Hey folks, Doom Wizard here. Along with doing my own channel, I'm also the co-host of another YouTube channel called the Don't Panic Radio Show, which I've been doing with my best friend Steve. We've been best friends since junior high, and like most best friends back in the 80s in junior high, we played a fair amount of D&D. Recently, we thought it would be cool if I put a game together and we played it on the show with a couple of people who have been on our show clear back in the podcast days. But I didn't just want to play D&D. I wanted to play something D&D adjacent. So in keeping in spirit with the OSR and the Don't Panic radio show, I put together DNDP. I thought it would be fun to make a video kind of showing how I'm putting the character sheets together. So I'll get out of the way while I talk about the process of putting that all together. I decided for a basis for the game, I wanted to use Ben Milton's Knave. I really like the simplicity of that system and how D&D adjacent it is and how easily adaptable it is for just about anything. And in keeping in the spirit of junior high D&D, I decided I wanted to hand make the character sheets, at least hand make them and print them up so that my players can use them. So I pulled out the light box and away I went. I wanted the whole thing to look, hand drawn. I'd seen so many videos where people did that and made it look really cool, so I thought I'd try my hand at it. I mean, I am an artist after all. How hard could it be, right? I found out. I don't know how much of this character sheet makes any sense to anybody watching this, so I'll try to explain it as I go along. Like I said, using Knave as a template and a bunch of other ideas from other games I like to put together the game we'll be playing. If you haven't figured it out, my other channel isn't meant to be taken seriously. I'll put a link in the description below and enter at your own risk. So once I had it all hand drawn, I went ahead and did some line work on it, scanned it, cleaned it up a little bit, but not too much because again, I still want to give it that, seventh grade look. I added a couple graphics for fun because who among us didn't draw all over our character sheets?
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Originally, I was going to hand letter this to keep with the hand lettering or the hand drawing of the little shapes and stuff. But the more I did it, the more I realized my handwriting sucks. So I sent the file off to my good buddy Mike in Davina, and he messed around with it for me, and he came up with this really cool way. I don't know how he does it. He's a wizard. He made these fonts, which were otherwise nice and clean, look like they were handwritten, so it kind of all matches the aesthetic that I wanted. Although this is based on Ben Milton's Knave, I incorporated a couple other things that I like from other role-playing games. And again, this is totally not for sale. I don't plan on reproducing it in any way, shape, or form or profiting from it. So I borrowed heavily from a lot of things. Um, one thing I did was alignment's a pain in the butt. I wanted to get rid of alignment. You could argue all day over what's the difference between chaotic good and chaotic this. Nobody can ever really get a good handle on what that all means, at least for me. So I borrowed corruption. Now, if you've ever seen Professor Dungeon Master, he has Deathbringer, which is his grimdark hack of 5e. He came up with, I don't know if he came up with it, but he uses this thing called corruption where every time you do something evil or dastardly or heinous, or in his case, with his game, cast a spell wrong, you get a corruption point. After 10 corruption points, you basically become an evil, monstrous NPC and lose your autonomy, and the DM takes over, or the GM takes over. I liked that idea, so I thought I'm going to use it, but I'm just going to stick with doing heinous stuff. I'm not going to worry about spell casting. That's got its own hazards. I also am using luck, which I like the idea of luck where whatever your level is, each game session, you get that many luck points. You can use that to re-roll certain dice. So it kind of gives you a little bit of a boost. Something else I liked about Knave is this. I love the traits that he has lined up for the game. This is a quick, fast, easy way. If you're going random, this is a quick, fast, easy way to generate your character's appearance. And I also use Knave's ability, defense, and bonus. At first, I railed against it. I'm like, yeah, but I want to see that I got a 13. Well, why? Because it's pointless. All you need are the bonuses that are attached to it. So I use his defense and bonus. I've been doing it for about 6 months now with some other games I've been playing, and it works just fine. Hit points, armor class, same as it ever was. Also, all humans. No races, no see in the dark races, just humans. So there's no need to put that stuff on there. Then you also avoid the um oh, what is it? There's a big controversy around race, which I like the way a lot of people are handling it. But I'm just avoiding it altogether. I'm just making them human. Now, thing is you can now take this, right? There's not a lot of room here, but the whole thing opens up, so you can scribble whatever notes all over the place wherever you want. That's the character sheet. This was all the video was going to be, was me showing off this character sheet. But something cool happened the other day. The DNDP player's handbook showed up. I only have player's handbooks. I don't worry about GM's guides because I can do that stuff in my sleep. I know all the ins and outs for it. I wanted to do this as an unboxing, but as the tower is currently caught in the middle of the 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 frozen hellstorm that it is, when this showed up the other day, the box was soaking wet, so I wanted to get them out because I got these from Lulu, and Lulu doesn't shrink wrap their packages when they send, so I wanted to make sure they were okay, and they were. So I thought for funsies, we'll go over. I'll kind of give you a sneak peek at the book a little bit. Here's the cover. I wanted it to look like the old, old books from the 70s, so I put kind of like uh, a paper grade, a dingy paper grade on it. And I found some pretty cool free art online to use in the book because I didn't want to have to take the time, even though I am an artist, I didn't want to take the time to draw everything because I'll spend way too much time on this. And the idea is I want to get it going as soon as possible. So this is front cover, back cover. All right. DNDP is a rules light OSR game created by Paul E. Schultz and is a hack of Ben Milton's Knave in the truest sense of the word. If you have a library of OSR bestiaries, adventures, and spellbooks, little to no conversion is needed for them to be used in DNDP. That having been said, because you can do a thing doesn't necessarily mean you should do a thing, and no one with any common sense should play DNDP. Why? Go check out the Don't Panic Radio Show channel, and you'll find out why. We're it's a different format than what I do here. We'll just leave it at that. Again, I tried to make this look as much like an old book as possible. Short of having the yellowy pages. Um, again, like on the character sheet, the traits, they're typically all D20 rolls, and you can put a pretty good character together pretty fast, which is the point of it. More glorious traits. Then you got now I swiped this from Deathbringer Misfortunes. I think that's a great way to, you know, make a backstory without, giving your GM a novel. Character classes: Alchemist, Sorcerer, Thief, Warrior, and Witchfinder. Witchfinder is kind of like a cleric. The others are pretty self-explanatory. Also, kind of borrowed from Deathbringer. Abilities. I've said this in other videos, and I fell in love with this idea for wisdom because wisdom is a dump stat. It's just people, unless you absolutely need it, will just ignore it, kind of like charisma. But if wisdom is experience and like being able to adapt what you know, the idea of using it to throw or shoot weapons just makes total sense because you got to account for wind, uh, height, elevation, the type of weapon. It just makes sense to me. I love that, and I've been using that ever since. Fleshing out your character, it's pretty self-explanatory. Gives you, I got equipment packs because let's get the ball rolling here. If you want to play the thief, you probably want the burglar pack. You probably don't want the entertainers pack, although you might, or the priests pack, because why? Weapons, pretty basic. Again, you can pull weapons from any game book you want, any because, but this is just a basic set for you. I really dig this image because it reminded me of the old basic D&D book that has the cool weapons. I think it's an Errol Otis drawing near the weapons. Um, Goes into how we're doing spells. Now spells, you can cast whatever spells you got all day, every day, but you have to make a you have to make a spell save or spell check, as we like to say it around the table. And if you roll a one, it can get disastrous for you. That's the um, that's the trade-off with being a magic user. Is sure you can cast fireball all day long, but there's that chance that it's not going to take that time, and the results are disastrous. And then your standard spells, they're all here. This was supposed to be like an 8-page booklet, but I thought, what the hell? I'll just slap the spells in them because I had them sitting in another file, so we won't do all too long on spells. Um, Unlike old D&D, there's no save versus dragon breath. It's all based on your stats. That's where the bonus comes in. Dude throws a fireball at you. All right, well that's a dex save. So whatever your bonus is, you roll against a 15. If you make it, you survive. If you don't, we know what happens with fireballs. Now, there's no priest spells, but the Witchfinders can turn undead, and they get protection from undead, and they can detect magic because the Witchfinder is, by definition, out to find people who use magic. So they have the ability to detect magic as well in their job. So the fun part would be if you got a character who's playing a Witchfinder and you have, say, a sorcerer on your team, you're going to be at odds. However, the Witchfinder can excuse as much as you want. You look the other way because we do that as players. Sometimes we'll look the other way when another character is doing something. However, as the sorcerer drifts closer and closer to the edge of madness, the Witchfinder might want to step in and do something about it. Or if the magic user does something terrible, the Witchfinder is there to basically take care of them. The saving throws, reactions, the basic combat. It's all pretty much standard fare. I like the way they handle stunts in Knave, and I thought, wow, it's a good enough idea. It's basically a passive way of attacking somebody. You would basically whatever if you're not going to do damage to them, say you're going to trip them or something like that, or wrestle with them. In this case, instead of rolling against like a 15 or something to do the job, you would roll against their dex defense, which their dex defense would be 10 plus whatever their bonus is. So you'd be rolling against, say, like a 13 or 14 sometimes. That's how that's handled. And that covers a broad range of actions too. That the GM can decide whether or not it qualifies as a stunt or a regular attack. Hit point damage for me has always been at negative whatever your con bonus is, you're dead. 0, you're unconscious. But con, negative con bonus, so you got a +2 con at -2 hit points, you're dead. Beyond recognition. When I first started playing 5e and this whole advantage thing popped up, I didn't like it. But the more I've played, the more I enjoy the idea, and the more my players enjoy the idea of rolling two 20-siders as opposed to just one. Advantage, of course. You roll two 20-siders, highest roll, that's your roll. Disadvantage works the exact opposite. Morale's pretty obvious. You heal 1 hit point plus your con bonus for full night's rest. And like in Knave, at 1,000 XP, you gain level because it's not all about, with my group, it's not all about dungeon crawling and pulling out thousands and thousands and thousands of gold pieces to, you know, get your XP up. So this kind of compensates for that, because we all know, like, you fight a room full of goblins, and all right, here's your 75 XP. You know, well, I might be second level next year. Um, that's pretty much it. That's gonna be DNDP. The actual adventure is going to be on the Don't Panic Radio Show channel. I'll make an announcement here when it airs. We're gonna do a session 0. If it turns out decent, the session 0 will be a video. But the actual, I'm hoping to make it a 3-part episode, and I'm gonna use a 1-page dungeon. I'm gonna use probably a 5-room dungeon on top of it, and when I put it together after the game, I'll talk about it here. I don't want to give away spoilers because my players watch my channel. So that's pretty much it. If you like what I'm doing, do me a favor. You like, comment, subscribe, hit that little bell icon so you don't miss a single video. And thanks for watching.